Hey, cousins. Hope all is well. Listen, this vacation's been fantastic. I've been doing so much. Me and my partner in crime just been running ragged. Well needed, well rested, so accomplished. I feel like I accomplished so much. And I just want to thank y'all for enjoying the ride that I'm taking you on. Hopefully, it's not that bumpy, but it's a ride. Cause I made time for y'all. Give me a round of applause for making time for y'all. Give me a round of applause. Yeah. Consistency. Consistency is key. With that being said, Unreal has come out. We have been waiting for Unreal. I have been waiting to see the writer's room. I have thoughts. Thoughts. I feel like my thoughts are going to be very unique to where you're not going to hear about the thoughts that I'm having until later on when other people be like, "Oh." So ride with me. Y'all definitely got to get in the comments for these thoughts. I definitely need to hear what y'all think, where y'all at with it, agree, disagree. Finally, we could go back and forth and y'all give me some pushback because that's what I've been looking for, right? So with that being said, this is going to be a combination of episode 1 and 2. Okay. Unreal, real quick synopsis. It's supposed to be a backstage documentary. You're going to see things you've never seen, whatever. It's taking place last year, starting with the Royal Rumble, made its way to WrestleMania. Okay. Um, John Cena's retirement, the first half of his retirement tour, things that we've already experienced, they're taking us back and giving us the guts of it. A lot of this stuff was already speculated and known. A lot of the footage I have seen already. Like you watch this, I feel like I've seen this footage already that's being used to kind of tell the story. Um it's backwards. They're jumping over the place. They're going back and forth. So, in my opinion, it's a little disjointed and it's not fluid as I would like it to be. So I could follow along. Because at some points I had to rewind to kind of understand what the hell they were talking about. But it is what it is for the most part. Um, with all that being said, let's just dive the fuck in, shall we? Let's dive in. So in the first episode, it's more of I feel like it's introducing supposedly the face of the company. So the first person you see is Cody Rhodes. It's no coincidence that you see Chody, okay? And then the next person you see is Paul Levahskay. If you ask me, this could have been Unreal, the Paul Levahskay saga or something. The glazing of Paul Levahskay, okay? Because a lot of this shit you could have introduced other superstars. You could have allowed the superstars to do more talking from their perspective. And you could have came in and did your little writer's zhuzh and showed us whatever tech you got going on. But I feel like the superstars should have played a bigger role in this docuseries. And it wasn't. But whatever. Um, we are introduced to the writer's room immediately. Ed Kowalski has a big part in this. He seems like a really super duper Wonder Bread type white man. Okay, we see what's his name? Bruce Pritchard is still there. He's an executive director. Bruce Pritchard is the old guard. I'm shocked, but then I'm not shocked that he's still there, considering he was a yes man to Vince, and now he's essentially a yes man to Paul Levahskay. Only person that seemed to be giving him pushback was Ed Kolsky. So I don't know if that was for show or that's real. There was a woman in there, and I get the feeling that that woman quit shortly after this. Um, I feel like that's that Peppermint woman. I'm not sure. I did see a black dude. He was on Zoom. Um, and the guy, what's his name? What's his name? I forgot. Whatever. It's a wrestler who was like really scared of Bruce Pritchard. And then you got the other people in the right room. But never mind that. So the first thing we understand is now we have an answer to why Paul Levahskay books his champions the way he books them. We already knew that, but to hear it from the dickhead's mouth makes it all the more better.
The more you want to provide some scarcity of their star power to keep them as big as they are. So it's special when Cody Rhodes is there and fans see that and feel that, and they're anticipating your return even more.
So that is the reason why your pro wrestling athletes who have title belts don't wrestle. At the time of this, remember, Cody is the champion. Didn't wrestle. Apparently, the scarcity somehow makes it more valuable. There is a need, a want to see Cody. People will pay more if the main attraction is starved, and then you'll see them. So we already kind of figured that for the most part. But this is also Paul Levahskay's way of saying long-term booking, because your star is so scarce. You could then long-term book from there. That's his thought process. So he explains the calendar. Of course, Netflix. They're starting this whole thing from the January 6th Netflix. So that's your day one on the calendar. And it goes all the way to the WrestleMania. So he claims this is the season. And then you have your shows during the week and whatever extra shit they were throwing at us in the middle of all this, because the Saturday night main events aren't on there. Whatever NXT and all little types of shit is not on there. So you went from January 6th to the Royal Rumble to the Elimination Chamber and to the WrestleMania. So they stripped it down when really there's actually more going on than just that. Now, if they kept it like this, I feel like it wouldn't be so tiresome and a chore to enjoy the product, because now they have saturated the fuck out of the season, quote unquote. So that's the first thing, his first way of showing you the business. So they're back in the writer's room and they're kind of milling over how to build this Netflix premiere. They made it seem like a PLE, okay? And Paul Levahskay is using a little logic more than Ed Kwolski, because those two are the people that's really doing all the talking here. No one's really adding anything, and if they do, they're kind of ad-libbing it. And if they did, it might have was cut, but it's really Paul Levahskay and Ed Kwolski trying to figure things out. And Ed acts like he is completely stressed out, annoyed, and just, he comes off as if he has something else he could be doing. So then we move into, I'm going to just call her the queen of the Paul Levahskay era. He has made it clear who his number one is in this company. And it is Rhea Ripley. Her name is Demi something. I forgot. We got a little light introduction from Australia. She's into the goth. She likes all that weird, kooky, spooky, gooky shit, or whatever the case may be. Immediately, Paul Levahskay says she's it. She is the bee's knees. She got it all. This is the one. I am going to put everything behind her. I don't give a fuck if this woman's ready or not. I got to have it. Yes, yes, yes. We immediately see the glaze onto Rhea Ripley from Paul Levahskay. What I do like about Rhea Ripley is that she's very aware of what's going on. She is aware that her storyline was long, arduous, and tiring for everyone involved, especially for the people watching it. She did understand that. She even used the word blow off with their match at WrestleMania. So this is focusing on her match against Liv Morgan at WrestleMania. So, no, at the Royal Rumble, I think it is. Yes, because right now she's the champion. This is where we kind of learn about her injury. She got hit with the chair, kicked in the shoulder. Her shoulder's dislocated or whatever and removed from the bone. So she got a bump. She got them wide shoulders that Paul Levahskay loves. He loves them wide shoulders. Because the only thing I can think of, the way he is really focused on Rhea, is China. That's the only thing I can think of, is he really sees China in her. And it's obvious, it's not covered up, it's visceral, and it can be off-putting sometimes. This is also where she's explaining herself, whatever. She's injured, storyline wise, fuck things up a little bit. And then we see, again, Paul Levahskay gets her. They're in the corner. He's holding her. He's hugging her real close. You're the best. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. I got you. You're all right. Just rehab. Come on back. Please. Please. Like, okay, sir. Calm the fuck down. So we go into CM Punk. He said all these names and did not say Chick Magnet. I even heard Black Phil. CM Punk, from what I get, he left on a bad note. Took a long time to get things cleared up. Didn't want to fuck with Paul Levahskay when he became a suit, he says. When he, went from wrestler to suit. Didn't want to fuck with him. Didn't like how it went. Didn't trust him. All kind of apprehension. Everything was going on. Now here we are. Two old motherfuckers who want to make amends and make money. That's essentially what this is. We're going to make amends. We're going to make money. We're going to do our thug thizzle, and we're going to keep it pushing. The only thing I get from Phil Brooks is he wants to be Unc. He said he wants to be Uncle Phil. That's all I heard. He's back there interacting. He probably interacted more with the talent than anybody else, even Paul Levahskay. Phil gave attention to all the talent, cheered up everybody, wanted to make Backstage comfortable. That's what I got from him on this first episode. So, what other secret did we learn? That there are extras in the audience that the superstars interact with to give more depth to whatever's going on. So Jacob Fatu was walking, he pushed some dude. Everybody was like, "Oh man!" And somebody said, "Oh, that's an extra. Don't worry about that. That's cool." Good to know. Good to know. There are plants all throughout the audience, which we kind of knew, right? Because you can't interact with strangers and not have them in on it because someone would get injured. So now Ed is introducing the gorilla position, Chris Park, who was Abyss. Then you got Bruce Pritchard, you got Bobby Roode, you got of course Paul Levahskay, you got I forgot the guy who was Kurt Angle's son. He's back there. So everybody's back. The gorilla position is basically the brains of the operation. I don't see the big deal of showing that. The reason why it's called Gorilla is called Gorilla Monsoon, who was a big part of the WWE in the early years, used to sit in the back and make the call, hence Gorilla position. Everyone calls it that. That is a WWE thing. It is now a part of pro wrestling lexicon. So they show you what the gorilla position looks like. This is set up everywhere they go. It's put together everywhere they go and taken down. So this control situation, the brains of the operation, no matter where they go, it is put together like Legos and taken down. Now, we're watching Chris Park have a fucking meltdown, which was fascinating. And Bruce Pritchard, again, is like the executive director. So Chris Park is the producer. He claims he's the liaison between him, the talent, and the guys in the back. So once again, Bruce, Paul Levahskay, and Ed Kowalski, those three are the main people that if you get a handshake from them, great. For the most part, you got to make sure those three people are good with what you have produced and directed in the back. Okay? So the match with Seth Rollins in the steel cage overran, and Chris Park is literally having a meltdown, and he's just like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, Bruce. I'm so sorry." And Bruce is like, "It's fine." He's like, "I'm so sorry." At the end, they finally got the 1, 2, 3 and whatever. They overran their time. And Chris Parker's like, "I'm so sorry, Bruce. I didn't mean to. Oh man, you know what I mean? Oh my God." And Bruce was like, "You know what? It's overproduced. It was overdone. It was over everything, but it was a good match. Whatever." And then Chris is just like, "Oh man." And then you got fucking what's his name? The British dude. He comes in and he's like, "Listen, relax. You did what you had to do." He was like, "I just want to make Bruce Pritchard so happy." And he was like, "Okay, it's fine. You happy. I want you to be happy." I thought that was real interesting that he came in and had to settle him down. Bruce Pritchard clearly was annoyed because time and pacing is important. And it was pointed out that you can't just do what you want just because it's on Netflix. So they was like, we got to have this time for the match to go over like that caused the issue, especially since this was the big introduction for the show and they had a whole bunch of bullshit that they wanted to do right after that match. So it was like a pressure cooker. William Regal, that's who it was. It was a pressure cooker after the match. I will say Michael Hayes is an interesting guy, and I think he needs to go ahead and let that whatever's left over of his head go. But he's an interesting guy because um, if Michael Hayes doesn't speak up, a lot of this stuff that we watch would probably be worse. I see his input he's like a producer. I see his input really helps because if you just leave it to like Ed Kowalski, Paul Levahskay, and Bruce Pritchard, this stuff would actually be worse. I noticed that. So kudos to Michael Hayes for whatever's worth. I did notice that. When Michael Hayes was on the screen talking and explaining stuff, I paid more attention to him and the pro wrestlers who actually had to get in the ring and do the work. I didn't really care for what Paul Levesky and Ed Kowalski was talking about. So we go back to Rhea Ripley, and she's with her Terror twin Priest, and I see that they have a genuine friendship. That's what's conveyed here. She goes back, she runs over the match. You can see she's nervous. She gets her nerves are up, and Priest kind of settles her down and says, "Listen, just make sure you go out there, do this, this, and this. It'll make this look better." I do like that interaction. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think we have to remember it's a TV show. But again, the mystique of it all is what brings people to want to watch the show. And I even said in a previous podcast, I forget that this is a TV show and they have quote unquote guest stars and special attractions. So that's what she's doing, going over her script and whatever she got to do in this match. So Rhea Ripley went on to win the match, right? I think this is also when the Undertaker drove out and was that whole shit. Anyway, again, she wins the match. I don't think this woman felt like she did bad. She felt good about it. Her and EO did a great job. Again, they walk out of Gorilla, they get the handshakes. Paul Levesque pulls her into him again. And this is just the first episode. And he is glazing the fuck out of her. You are good. You ain't got to worry about it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Oh man, do good. Do it. Yeah, you're just so good. And I just love it. And I'm just like, golly. Now he does it to, other people, certain people. You'll see him throughout, giving them all his words of encouragement. Right after they come out, they out of breath, they wet, they tired, whatever the case may be. Yes, adrenaline's running, but there's a need for him to always get in there and get in their face. And then he's like, "Come on, let's go take this picture." Like it's always something where he has to be the last thing they hear. The last thing they hear before they go in the back and mingle and relax and shower and all that is Paul Levesque glazing the fuck out of them and doing the finger picture. I find it to be really bizarre, especially when you think about Vince. All they do in Vince, after they come out, he give him a hug, give him a handshake, go get yourself together. This guy is all over you. I think that's super weird and overbearing. So that's really it. We didn't see them. They go through the matches over, which I fast forwarded through because I don't want to see. You basically watching a match again. A majority of these episodes is you're watching a match again, and then they go back and forth to Gorilla, and you see them talking to the ref, which is another thing that they pointed out. A lot of the ref, they're listening to these guys tell them the referee is an integral part of the match, which I could see. I remember Bianca said that the worst job she did and she didn't like was refereeing because they're telling you what to do and you got to be at certain points and make sure everybody's fine. So the ref really does play a role. So with that being said, we're wrapping up this episode. Paul Leveque says, Levahskay, oh my God. Saying his name right is weird. Paul Levahskay then says, everyone has the opportunity. When you get the crowd. Now it's your opportunity to take the crowd and run, which I thought was funny because now looking back, if you take somebody like LA Knight who has the crowd, is he given the opportunity to run with it? I don't think so. Now, I'm going to stop here and I'm just going to have to go through each episode because I don't want this to go over like 30, 40 minutes. So this was episode 1. Catch me on episode 2. And make sure you get in the comments.